Normally in the summer months, I like to spend most of August in the south of France, mainly because an awful lot of my French friends and sometimes German and Italian friends tend to come to the Riviera for the month, so I get to see them every year. But this year I've decided, mainly because I'm making this programme, which I hope the few thousand of you that are watching are enjoying and appreciate, I've decided to leave the south of France towards the end of July, head up to Annecy, a very, very pretty city or pretty town on the lake in the north of France on the border of Switzerland, then head into Switzerland to take a look around there, especially Zurich, and then finally head for Munich in Germany, my favourite city in Germany and one of my favourite cities in the world, where I fully intend to stay for a couple of weeks. wave. What are we to do? The whole of July, Europe was blanked out. Tourists are having to come back to Great Britain and the rain and misery. It's all bollocks, isn't it? Every year things get a little bit hotter, and every summer certain places are very hot. But before we go into climate change, let's talk about the media coverage of the heat wave, which isn't really a heat wave at all. A few places have got hotter than usual, but of course the media goes into exaggeration mode, as they do with everything these days. Now, that doesn't really matter. It sells newspapers, it gets people watching the TV news and listening to the radio news, but the actual reality is it's really not happening. It's not important, and the media do this with everything, and it becomes really tragic and awful when they start doing it with things that do matter, i.e. the judicial process. The media, by its massive coverage of trials and so on, actually gets innocent people convicted of crimes, spending years in prison or sometimes killing themselves. That's pretty serious, isn't it? And with things like COVID and Brexit, stupid, trivial issues that disappear after a few months, but the media coverage makes all the governments who don't necessarily agree or know that the media talks sense, which I have to say most of the time it doesn't, but feels that they have to obey what the media says because the public believes the media and governments want to be popular with the punters. That again is frightening, which brings us to the public as a whole, who are so gullible and will believe any exaggerated story that they will hold that as truth in their minds. And you get things like the demonisation of Jimmy Savile, the disc jockey, who has been now destroyed after death, by the way, for all the numerous good things he did in his life. I found him quite an irritating personality in the media, not really caring much for music, but being a bit eccentric and odd. Some would say I'm the same. As a person, he was actually a perfectly decent, normal human being on the one occasion I spent any time with him socially. But the exaggeration after his death, getting hundreds of people making complaints after his death where he couldn't actually say, excuse me, that's a lie, or more often, excuse me, that's an exaggeration. Because I do believe Jimmy Savile used to pinch the occasional female buttock and perhaps even tweak the occasional female breast. Absolutely shocking and disgraceful, but not what he'd been accused of. Anyway, climate change. My opinion, I've stressed it earlier in this programme, in this series, my opinion is that climate change is 99.9% inevitable. It's the way the universe works. As the sun, our sun, dies, so places get colder or hotter or whatever. These, to me, are the natural ways that climate change occurs. The tiny little percentage of what human beings do, what cows do. They mustn't fart as much, so kill off the cows. It's just madness, and it's another example of the superficialization of human thinking. We just fall for the simple slogans instead of thinking slightly deeply. I don't ask for great depth of thought. It really doesn't take a lot to work out that 99.9% of climate change is due to things outside human control. That really only takes a few seconds of thought. Are you prepared to do it? No. Why not? Because you're morons. As we look around Annecy in the northern parts of France, it's been an incredible week in Great Britain for the false allegations industry getting really, really knocked. For a start, there was Kevin Spacey, found innocent on all 9 false allegations by 4 or 5 men, I suspect, I can't prove this, after money. But even more important, the case of Andrew Malkinson, who for 17 years served time for rape in a British prison, a rape which he did not commit, and which has finally been proven he did not commit it, and the Court of Appeal have declared him innocent. But after 17 years in prison, during which time the CCRC, who are meant to look at these convictions and send them back to the Court of Appeal if it decides that they're not valid, examined him, I think, 2 or 3 times and did not send it back until finally, because other people investigated and found DNA and other proof that he hadn't committed the crime, the CCRC then does send it back, and of course he's declared innocent. This is shocking. The CCRC's sole duty is to look at these cases, which, by the way, mine is another. The mighty journalist Bob Woffington wrote a book a few years ago called The Nicholas Cases, which were the 10 worst miscarriages of justice in British courts over the previous 30 years. I was one of the 10 cases. Andrew Malkinson's was another. There are 8 others, people who are, I think, either dead or still in prison, that the CCRC has not sent back to the Court of Appeal yet. The CCRC is not fit for purpose, and it needs to be completely overhauled or scrapped. The problem with going a bit further north, like Annecy, is you can't absolutely guarantee the sunshine, but even so, I like to make sure that all the hotels I book have got swimming pools, because I do like to try and get at least 5 hours a day swimming. It's good for me, it makes me feel great, and it's very, very healthy. And this is the little Mercure Hotel, part of the Accor chain, which I thoroughly approve of, in Annecy. And as you can see, we have the facilities to swim here. Let me see if I can show you. What do? I do this now. We change, hold on. I'll come back in a second. Right, here I am again. You can see my rather nice fluorescent green shorts, my getting slightly tanned legs, and the lovely pool that I have here in Annecy, which I swim in. It's a gorgeous day today, and as you can see, the pool is perfect. Very cold water from the mountains, of course. Gorgeous blue sky, lots of greenery around, making sure the air is filtered and looking lovely. And I swim in here for a few hours every day, reading my current books, doing work on my laptop, generally enjoying myself and allowing my feet to get a nice healthy shade of brown as I relax in the sunshine on the summer during the annual Grand Tour of Europe.
Hip hooray, the sun has got his hat on. Hip 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 hooray, the sun has got his hat on and he's coming out today. Sleeping in the sun all day. Hey!
I've been adding a splash of colour to Annecy as I get ready to go away and look at the Imperial Palace Hotel here, which I used to stay in and is still gorgeous. I thoroughly recommend Annecy in France, just next to the Swiss border, if you're looking for somewhere unusual to have a holiday. And this hotel, the Imperial Palace, remains beautiful. Anyway, it's been quite a week in the United Kingdom. Not only these amazing changes and bashes at the false allegations industry, which I must emphasise has been getting bigger and bigger. I bet you now see these crooked lawyers moving in on the false accusers of Kevin Spacey and saying to them, look, we can do a civil case against Spacey now, even though he's been acquitted. You can make millions if only you claim that your life has been ruined by the experience, and even though it was found innocent in a court of law, a civil court demands less evidence, and he will settle out of court on the court steps for a few thousand for each of you, which we will take 50%, please, because it will be a no-win, no-fee exercise for us lawyers. It really is a crime. It's bent, it's corrupt, it's wicked. Anyway, that's it for episode 38 of A Victim Bites Back. See you next time for episode 39.